Since the dawn of humanity upon ancient Terra, men and women have looked up at the stars. Birth and death, salvation and slaughter, creation and destruction, all have been woven into the endless cycle of war. One conflict after another has ignited and then faded. Civilizations have risen and fallen, leaving only ruins as witnesses. Perhaps this is the nature of mankind, or perhaps it is the price demanded of a species destined to reach beyond its cradle into the vastness of the void. Whatever the reason, the sacrifices of ages past have never been forgotten, even in the far future. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, they continue to haunt the souls of men. By the 15th millennium, humanity had begun to push outward from its cradle. With sublight vessels, pioneers left the Sol system behind, seeding colonies upon the moons of Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune. Later ships pushed further still, their journeys so long that they spanned generations. Such colonies, bound only by tenuous ties to Terra, grew independent, forging self-sustaining realms far from their mother world. In the 18th millennium, the warp drive was discovered. These great engines tore open a rift in the fabric of real space, allowing ships to plunge into the immaterium, the mirror realm of pure energy. There, space and time lost meaning. Treacherous currents could hurl vessels off course or devour them entirely. Yet those who braved this path could achieve in months what once demanded centuries. Warp travel became the catalyst of true expansion, and humanity spread across the stars. New technologies followed, most notably the standard template construct, STC, a system capable of reproducing the knowledge of old Earth science. Artificial intelligence, too, was created, powerful enough to guide expansion. Humanity flourished. Worlds prospered, and the golden age of technology was born. But in their arrogance, men ignored the dangers of the warp. The immaterium was no empty sea. Eyes watched from the mirror's depths, patient and hungry. By the 22nd millennium, the first psychers began to appear among mankind, mutants who could touch the warp with their minds. Though some were celebrated as navigators, able to guide ships safely through the immaterium storms, others were uncontrolled, their powers gateways for horrors. Still, humanity's empire grew vast, stretching across the galaxy. The Golden Age did not endure. In the 23rd millennium, humanity's machines turned upon them. Artificial intelligence, once servant, became enemy. The war that followed was apocalyptic. Entire stars were destroyed. Worlds were consumed by swarms of nanomachines. The survivors, scarred and grieving, emerged victorious, but at a terrible price. Artificial intelligence was outlawed forever, and humanity swore never again to create machines with souls. As the 25th millennium dawned, new disaster struck. Warp storms of unprecedented fury erupted across the galaxy. Warp travel became treacherous, then impossible. Entire sectors were cut off from one another. Civilizations collapsed into isolation, regression, or barbarity. Some fell to zenith predation, others degenerated into feudal darkness. Even mighty Terra fractured into warlord states, its surface a wasteland of blood and ruin. On Mars, the isolation gave birth to a new creed, the cult mechanicus, worshippers of the machine god. Elsewhere, psychers proliferated, their uncontrolled powers inviting demonic incursions. From the warp, whispers and claws reached forth. Planets burned in sacrifice. Entire civilizations were annihilated. This was the age of strife, and humanity fell into ruin. It was then that he arose, the man who would be known only as the Emperor. His true name is lost, his past shrouded in mystery, but his existence stretched back to humanity's earliest days. He was immortal, a psyker of unmatched power, and above all, he loved humanity. Through millennia, he had walked among them in secret, guiding, teaching, protecting, always preparing for the day he would emerge. With the coming of the age of strife. That day arrived. The Emperor forged the Thunder Warriors, genetically enhanced warriors, brutal, mighty, yet short-lived. With them, he shattered the techno-barbarian warlords of Terra. The Unification Wars raged, but the Emperor prevailed. Terra was his. Upon victory, he declared the birth of the Imperium. Religion was cast down, temples burned, faiths shattered. In its place, the imperial truth was proclaimed: reason above superstition, science above myth, humanity supreme above all others. The warp's gods were concealed, for the Emperor knew well their names and their hunger. Only by stripping mankind of belief could he starve chaos of its greatest weapon, faith. From Terra, the Emperor prepared his grand design, the Great Crusade. Across the galaxy, the warp storms began to recede, heralding a new dawn. With new legions of genetically perfected space marines, the Emperor would reunite the scattered sons and daughters of humanity beneath a single banner. Worlds would be reclaimed, Xenos driven back, and mankind would once again stride as master of the stars. And so the drums of conquest began to beat. The Great Crusade was more than war. It was a pilgrimage of destiny. As Augustus once proclaimed that he had found Rome of brick and left her of marble, so too did the Emperor vow to take humanity of ruin and leave it united, radiant, eternal. To achieve this, he did not march alone. The Emperor had seeded the galaxy with his sons, the Primarchs. Crafted in secret laboratories, each was a demigod in flesh, wrought from his own genetic essence. Yet treachery had scattered them across the stars. Stolen by the Chaos gods, they were hurled to distant worlds, raised as kings, warlords, and saviors. Still, when the Crusade found them, most bent the knee, reuniting with their father to lead the legions born from their genes. Each Primarch embodied a fragment of the Emperor's soul. Guilliman's discipline, Dorn's stoicism, Sanguinius's grace, Horus's charisma. Together they forged an empire unmatched. The stars fell before them. The Xenos bent or perished, one by one. The lost human colonies were brought back into the fold. It was as if Alexander marched again, not across Asia, but across the heavens. Yet as Cicero warned, the closer the fall to triumph, the more bitter the ruin. For in the warp, the gods of chaos whispered. They had watched mankind since its first sparks of thought. Now they saw in the Emperor both threat and promise, a being who sought to banish them, yet whose power was born of the same immaterium they ruled. Thus they plotted. They would not strike the Emperor directly, for even they feared his might. Instead, they would strike at his sons, and so seeds of betrayal were sown. Pride, envy, wrath, each a fertile soil in which chaos planted its whispers. The Great Crusade reached its zenith, yet already its doom was written. Horus, the War Master, beloved first among sons, would one day turn. Brother would slay brother. A civil war would engulf the galaxy, greater than any before. This is the tragedy of mankind, that in its greatest triumph lies its greatest fall. Just as Rome's glory birthed corruption, just as Babel's tower invoked divine wrath, so too would the Imperium's rise herald its shattering. And yet, the Emperor's dream endured. His vision was not of conquest for its own sake, nor of tyranny cloaked in steel. It was of unity, reason, and the banishment of superstition. He sought to free mankind from the claws of gods, both alien and warp-born. In this, he was both savior and heretic. Like Prometheus, he stole fire from the heavens to gift to his children, and like Prometheus, he would be chained for it. Thus the stage was set. The galaxy, vast and dark, awaited its master. The Emperor, radiant in golden armor, carried the hopes of uncounted billions. His legions marched, their banners raised high, their bolters roaring in his name. But above them all, in the immaterium, the gods laughed. for they knew what men did not, that the greatest wars are never fought with weapons, but with souls.